Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys an update to my Drytron deck profile. Now, as you guys all know, this deck did take a couple substantial hits over on the last ban list, which happened probably about a month ago already, but I figured now is a good time to finally update this. So we did lose our one copy of Ava that we had, but still this deck can function really well. You're just not really relying on that adding to and even playing any of the heralds at all. I don't like playing like the Herald of Perfection build with the Preparation of Rites. I just think that that's a little too glass cannon because you set up a really good strong board, but then you have a ton of other bricks in your deck and you can end up getting into some bad hands. So this is what I thought helped play the most consistent hands, hands that are the most playable and whatnot. So we are including the Megalith package and a bunch of other stuff. So let's get on into this. This is quite a bit of a different profile from what we've seen before. So we're playing the 3 copies of Alpha. Alpha, you got to obviously play it at 3 because it is your ritual monster searcher to help you get into your Ben 10 right away. Then we have our Zeta to search our ritual spells. Then we have our 3 copies of Gamma. 3 Gamma is just really nice to be able to make sure that you can get into that Mu Beta Fafnir and whatnot, and just for good recovery plays, it just helps you to go into more ritual and link summons and whatnot. So overall, just really nice playing that card at 3. I'm playing 2 copies of Delta in the main. Just 2 Delta is just perfectly fine. I think if you wanted to, you could play it at 3. But for my secret tech for the deck, I am playing the 1 copy of the Beta. I believe that I had this in my last profile, maybe my last 2 profiles. I'm not totally sure. There's been so many renditions of this deck, but overall, I like playing the extra name of the Beta. It does give you sort of that 5th optional summon. If you've already gone through like your Alpha, your Zeta, your Gamma, there's a lot of times where you'll kind of like, you'll maybe open up with like 3 of these guys, and then like you'll be able to go into Beatrice, and you'll be able to go into the Mu Beta Fafnir and whatnot, and you're just kind of like, well, what do I send now? I've already got all 4 names in the graveyard. Then just having that Beta Rastaban is really nice. And also it does come up every now and then when your opponent does banish some stuff, so you can actually get your resources back. So if your opponent's going to try to usually call by the grave or DD Crow like your Alpha or something, so it's really nice to be able to just use the Beta to get that back into the graveyard so that you can do those plays. Also, another interesting tech that you can play is 1 copy of Soul of Purity and Light in this deck. I'm not playing it just because you just don't need it for like getting into Beatrice that much, but Soul of Purity of Light is a fairy monster level 6, which came out in Labyrinth of Nightmare, I believe, so way back in the day, which allows you to basically banish 2 light monsters from your graveyard and then special summon it to the field. So it could be used as an extra extender or a way to go into Beatrice with like your Herald or something. But overall, I didn't think that it was super required, but basically you would be able to banish some stuff and then bring them back to the graveyard with Beta. I wish that like Beta would maybe add the cards back to your hand or something, but overall still just sending stuff back to the graveyard is nice. And just having that 5th name when you're in a really grindy duel and your opponent maybe is banishing stuff from your graveyard, or they hit your stuff, your effects on field with some negates and whatnot, or they like blow your board up with Torrential Tribute, or they're using like I don't really know. There's just a lot of ways that your opponent can disrupt your board. The Beta Rastaban is just nice to get that extra extender. And also in this build, you're playing a lot of ritual monsters. So that means that you're going to have extra targets to tribute from your hand, and then that just means that you can just extend a little bit further. I think the main reason that we're playing extra ritual monsters in this build really makes it so this is viable as an extra extender, because your hands do clog up a little bit. So we are playing then the 3 copies of the Diviner of Herald. You can play 2, but I still like the 3, and then 1 copy of the Herald of Orange Light, just to be able to get that negate. If your opponent is threatening you with like a Nibiru, you can always search this off of your Ben 10, or if you open with it, it's okay. Then we have our 1 copy of Artifact Lancia, and then we are playing the Scythe while we still have it. I'm assuming that this is going to get hit on an upcoming ban list, or the Dagda. If Dagda gets hit, I will not be too upset because still the Scythe Lock is really powerful in this deck. And then since we're playing the Scythe Lock, we got to be playing the DPE package just to pop that. And also, if you can resolve the Celestial on your next turn, because now Drytrons do play a little bit grindier games, if you can resolve this, it's basically game over because you can just draw 2 and Getting 2 resources in your hand after you've already grinded and your graveyard is set up can be really detrimental to your opponent. 1 copy of the Ben 10, 1 copy of the Ida 10, and then 1 copy of the Natasha. So this is pretty standard. It hasn't changed. I tried to mess around with playing like the Izana, I believe, but I just like playing just these guys. You're only going to be able to get Natasha's effect off twice to steal stuff, but that's usually enough to get game. And it doesn't come up every time, but still, you got to be playing the Natasha. I think if you're not playing Natasha, it is just absolutely like a great resource that you're not giving yourself. Then we have our 1 copy of the Draconids. I also tested around with playing the other one. I'm not even sure what the other ritual monster's name is, but overall, it just didn't seem necessary for this. Again, we're playing a lot of rituals. You just don't want your hands to be clogged up too much. So getting into some other rituals, we are playing the Megalith package. So Megalith Fool is just amazing in this deck because when he's ritual summoned, you're able to add the Ben 10 back to your hand, and then he's treated as a 6, so then he can actually be used for like your XZ plays with your to go into your Beatrice and whatnot. So really, really amazing. So that was another reason why you just don't need to play that Soul of Purity and Light, is because you can generally go with the Fool if you can't get into the Ida 10 or the Ben 10 on field for that XZ play. Then we are going to be going on then into the 1 copy of Ophiel. Ophiel's pretty good. And then the Bethor. Bethor is super amazing because with this card, when it's ritual summoned, you're able to destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field up to the number of ritual monsters in your graveyard with different names. So with all of these, I believe we're playing like probably like 8 different names overall. So if you have like all 8 different names, you can blow up to 8 cards on your opponent's side of the field. Generally, it's going to be like 3 or 4, but that's still just amazing just to be able to blow up most of your opponent's monsters in back row, which is absolutely insane. Then we have our 3 copies of Cyber Emergency just to make sure that we can see all of our Drytron names. 3 copies of Nova. I generally side like 1 or 2 of these out. Like I'll maybe side out 1 Nova, and if I really need siding, then we'll side out 1 copy of Emergency, just so that we can find those side deck cards. This deck is probably one of the hardest to find the side deck cards until like turns like 2 and 3, you know, if you're in a really grindy duel and you can finally get that Celestial draw 2, then you can find some side deck cards, but generally it's too late. But yeah, if you're like trying to like find your Nibiru's or whatever floodgates or something that you really need to find, generally you really want to work on your siding. This deck is just super duper hard to side with because you just need those combo pieces in here. Then we have our 2 copies of the Meteonis Drytron. I will always be an advocate for playing 2 copies of this. I've seen people who are playing 1, but if this card gets crowed, you're basically dead. And also, it's just nice to be able to extend into extra ritual monsters during your turn, so I like it. 1 copy of the Drytron Fafnir searches any of your Drytron spells. Then we are playing our 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. Super duper nice in this deck because, again, if you can send your Drytrons and fill up your graveyard, it is just super duper nice. We are going to get on then into 2 copies of Preparation of Rites. This is a little bit different, but still just playing the 2. Again, this card can get you back your ritual spell, which is cool, and it just helps search your Ben 10. And this card is actually better now that we are playing the Megalith package, because 2 of your Megaliths, the Fool and the Ophiel, are actually good targets for the Prep of Rites, so I really like that. 1 copy of Called by the Grave, and then 1 copy of Fusion Destiny. This is a little bit different, but I just really like playing the 1 copy, especially in this deck, because, like I said, this deck does brick quite a bit, so you're really, but you can link a lot, so this is basically, like, this deck is no longer, like, Herald of the Arclight, or Herald of Perfection Turbo. This is now, like basically DPE turbo, but you're also like link summoning, so it's basically Dragon Link, but this is Drytron Link in a way. So you're always going to be able to like basically get into your Anaconda and then go into Fusion Destiny. If you pull this off the top, it's amazing, but really you don't want to end up seeing 2 copies of Fusion Destiny, so that's why I just kept it at 1. Also, you don't need to like link summon into Dagda or anything, so you're always gonna like you're pretty much always gonna have enough link material because we are not playing the Dagda in the extra deck. We're just gonna search for Scythe with Ben 10. If we don't see it, then we don't see it. We have other ways to disrupt our opponent. Then getting on into the extra deck, we have our 2 copies of the Mu Beta Fafnir. I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker here. These cards don't need much explanation, but these are like all of our Foolish Burials. The 1 copy of Beatrice, really amazing, but still just not really quite as good now that we lost the Ava, but it is still nice to just help set up your graveyard. Doing a Beatrice play to set up your graveyard with an extra Drytron name can be so crucial to the deck. 1 copy of Downward Magician. If you guys want to in this extra deck, the one thing that I'm kind of missing is 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix. Phoenix is really powerful in this deck because you can link summon so much, and you can actually get like the extra draw effect off if you go into Link Karibo and the Nightmare Phoenix. You can get that draw special off, and then you can go into Nightmare Unicorn. You can do the same thing, but overall, Downward Magician is just a little bit better to help give you that second pop with the Zeus. So with the Zeus, you can generally go for Fafnir, and if you use up all of your materials on Fafnir, then you just go into Downward, and you get that that one quick effect, send everything to grave. Or if you don't use any materials on the beta or the Beatrice, then you can just do Downward and you get 2 send to graveyard. So overall, it's just kind of how you feel, but for the flavor of the deck, I thought that it was a little bit better. 1 copy of Baronne de Fleur. This is a new addition to the deck because you can actually make the Baronne de Fleur with your Herald or your Diviner of the Herald and your copy of Ophiel, because you have a level 4, and then this becomes a 6 going into your 10, and you do have a tuner. So really crazy that they made Diviner of the Herald a tuner, but overall it's really powerful to go into this and gets you into a quick Omni Negate. We have 1 copy of Herald of the Arclight and then the Elder Entity Natis for our Diviner targets. 1 copy of DPE, just pretty obvious. 1 copy of Link Karibo, 1 copy of IP Masquerena. We have our Anaconda to be able to get into our DPE. The 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Again, I wish just for like these combos here that I did have the Nightmare Phoenix, but it's just not necessary. The 1 copy of Access Code Talker to clear out your games, and then 1 copy of Appaloosa for more negates on the board. But guys, that's going to do it for this deck profile. Overall, I really liked how this deck has been flowing. I really thought that like Drytron was going to be a little bit dead after Ava was gone, but really the deck has been working really well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Please let me know down in the comments how you guys have been playing this deck. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and we will see you guys for the next profile. Peace.